And we're on.
And you're on air. All right, everybody. How's everyone feeling tonight?
It's Ryan Seacrest. Welcome back to 101.9 The Mix.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Nicole.
And we are here to talk about Disney.
And our anxiety.
And that's wwhy we're
magically unstable. Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
Let's do that one more time.
Or we can just keep that whole thing.
oh my God, that made me lightheaded. Oh my God.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Nicole.
And we are here to talk about Disney.
And our anxiety.
And that's why we're
Magically
unstable.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to our introductory episode 1
First podcast.
podcast episode of Magically Unstable.
Yes.
Yay.
We are so excited to bring this new venture to you guys. We have been talking about this for a couple months and just wanted to, I guess, reach out to our audience in a more personal and deeper way. That sounds a little inappropriate, but
That's
I
what
think
she
you
said.
all know what we mean. So I guess let's start with a little bit for our listeners who don't know about Foreverland. Foreverland was formed out of a pressure cooker,
Out of
I would
angst.
say.
Anguish.
Yeah,
I can tell you the exact day that it was formed because this is a podcast about anxiety. March 14th.
Foreverland is
2020.
basically it was formed under a lot of pressure. We're a bright and shining
are.
star.
We'll go with that. No, we're a
Something
diamond.
like that.
We're a diamond. A diamond.
Yeah, we're a diamond. Sorry, not a
I
star.
think we're still in the rough, but like, it's fine.
yeah.
It's fine. It is fine.
Literally. But so a little history on Foreverland. It used to be an original group with 4 of us, and now there's 3 of us. And
that's
we
all.
have just wanted, and that's all. That's it. And we started originally with a YouTube channel, and we were basically focused on Disneyland for the time being in the beginning, because I live right by Disneyland Park. And then a couple months later, Nick moved down to Orlando, Florida. So then we were able to have some videos from both coasts, which was really great to give everybody an experience of the Walt Disney parks in America in general. And then we were smacked in the face with a pandemic, so we haven't been to any parks.
Literally bitch slapped across.
Yeah, so we had to get a little bit creative, and this was one of our ideas that kind of spawned from that creativity of brainstorming on how we can give people who find Foreverland, or I guess now this podcast, a true experience on what it's like being in the parks. And if you've never been, or even if you've been a million times, it's kind of our goal to find an audience that we relate to, and that is, I guess, coming from us not ever going to parks as a kid and kind of being later in that Disney adult phase, I guess. So that's kind of where all of this has stemmed from.
Yeah. Kurt hit everything right on the head. I think you did forget the most important thing about all of us is that we are all from Wisconsin.
Hey!
I know, I wore my Drink Wisconsinably shirt today.
I wore my Liney
Like,
shirt.
literally. You can't.
Oh, man. Come on, guys. I'm wearing a Haunted Mansion sweater. That's
You're
not
dressed
fair.
up for the day. You're actually dressed up how you're supposed to be. But yeah, so bunch of Midwesterners. I feel like we were definitely displaced, as that already put disadvantage towards us being from the Midwest. You know, we live smack dab in the middle of both parks, you know, so super far away, not a lot of access to extra funds to vacation as little ones. And Kurt and I actually went to high school together, and the first time I think both of us had been to Disney was together. So
In high school.
In high school, yeah. We were performers of sorts.
Yeah, so let's actually take that and
They
go
were
into a little bit
strippers.
more
Not
personal.
We were not.
Oh, man. No, we were not.
Nicole, I was 14.
I was like,
yeah, and
I
I
was
was
16.
6. Just kidding.
Whatever.
But I guess let's take that and go into a little more personal note and just talk about ourselves and our relationship with each other and Disney. So yeah, Nick, like you were saying, you and I have known each other since high school. Our first time going to Disney was with each other. We weren't hanging out in the same circle yet,
No.
but we were definitely in Florida in Disney parks at the same time, I guess you could say. We
Yeah.
were like one person removed from friend circles.
We had done some plays together. Like, we knew of each other. We were comfortable, like, having conversations with each other. But definitely, Kurt was a cool kid. He was, like, literally
I was not.
He was worshipped in the theater department, I should say.
I was like, we were theater kids.
Yeah, you were a god amongst gods. And I was a very shy, angry, like, emo kid who had not quite come out of her shell yet, and Kurt absolutely helped that happen, like, on an extreme level.
So then after high school, I guess flash forward, I moved on to, I guess, other ventures in life. I became a professional ballroom dancer and did that for 10 years and moved out of the town that we grew up in, then moved to New York City, and now I'm in Southern California. And in that time, Nick, you went to college and met Nicole.
Yeah. So obviously we graduated. UW Parkside represent. 2 alumni here. I thought I wanted to be a doctor of some sort. So started in biology. Huge gap. Like, it was almost 10 years later. I finally graduated. There was a huge gap in between that where I took some time off. Tried to figure out what I wanted to do, ended up back at UW Parkside and met Nicole because we both wanted to be teachers. Oddly enough, we both graduated and we're not teachers, and neither of us have a degree in education. We ended up both going toward the science field, which I'll let Nicole explain hers, but I'll talk about mine. So I graduated with a degree in environmental studies and biology, and I ended up going on to do a lot of informal education. So environmental education, a lot of nonprofit work. I ended up at a nonprofit for 2 years, loved it, and then hated the snow. So I left the best job in the world, Eco Justice Center, forever, for life. I got to hang out with alpacas all day, alpacas and goats, and it was amazing. But me and my fiance, we got engaged in Florida in the beginning of 2020, and then we decided to move to Florida. So I'm residing right behind Magic Kingdom. Literally, I can see Cinderella's castle from my apartment complex, and have been here for like 6 months. It's interesting, to say the least. But yeah, Nicole, it's all you, buddy.
Well, we just got, I'm allowed to say fucked,
Yeah.
right? We just got fucked with snow. To the point where I'll get into my life story. I'm just salty about the snow right now. I had to have my brother come bail my car out of a snowdrift that was about 3 feet tall. So, fuck you both for living in
Nice.
the
It
warm
was
weather.
70 here today.
Yeah, it was like 70.
It was 70 here today. At least it wasn't like cold. It was like 30s. So I grew up. I went to Nick and Kurt's rival high school, but they were already past graduated when I was there. I'm the infant. I'm pretty much still like...
She's not that much younger. She's literally 6 years younger than us. And Kurt and we're 91 babies. So we're turning 30 this year. And Nicole's just in her early 20s.
I'm almost in my mid. I'm turning 24 this year.
Yeah, well, you know.
But yeah, no, I grew up in this area. I grew up in this area.
What?
I'm just talking. I'm giving my life story. You can cut all of this. No, so I grew
I'm
up
leaving it.
in the town next to Nick and Kurt. Kurt, you grew up in Salem, right?
I grew up in Wheatland.
Okay, well,
Wheatland.
fuck Wheatland.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up like 10 minutes from where Nick grew up in Salem and went to the rival high school. And then I went to Parkside because I didn't want to move out of my parents' house yet. And yeah, just went there for teaching because that was what was par for the course. I wanted to be a special ed teacher, and then I wanted to be an elementary ed teacher, and then I transferred into science, and I was like, shit, I like this. Because I took one geography course in high school, and it was like, find all the countries and capitals, and I was like, I'm good at that. And then I got into digital mapping, and then I said, fuck teaching, and left that. And now I'm working in the molecular biology field, but not doing anything with that. So, yeah.
So let's bring it around to like how we started going to Disney as adults, I guess. Because, I mean, like we said, Nick and I went to Disney World in high school together. But I think we both took a really long break from going to Disney. And it wasn't really a huge part of our lives for a while. And I think it was something that, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Nick, but personally, it was something for me that was, I guess when I went, I like used all of my memories that I made in high school to like fulfill those like quote unquote childhood memories of going to Disney. So it was always this like nostalgic thing for me that I like longed for. But it's not something that I like needed to do to feel happy. So I think, for me, I went to Disney again when I was 20. Oh my gosh. I can't even think right now how old I was. It was like 4 years ago, so 26. And I actually went with my fiance Peter. He was not my fiance at the time. But him and I had been dating, I think maybe like 3-4 months. And we're like, let's plan a trip to Disney. And in my head, I was like, if we can make it through planning and going to a trip to Disney together, we'll make it. Like, it will be good. And we went, and it was just a very, like, magical bonding experience for him and I. And I feel like Disney is one of those things that really solidified us as, like it solidified the fact that, like, I knew that he was, like, my life partner. Like, he was the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And Disney was a huge part of solidifying that for me. So I think that that's where it really like just like all gas, no brakes. I'm a Disney adult and we're going to go to the parks every single year. And it's going to be this great thing that we do. And we did. We went every single year to Walt Disney World. We still have. And even though we moved out here to SoCal in 2019, we got Disneyland annual passes, went to Disneyland for date nights and did all these things. So yeah, we are full-fledged. I mean, we literally have a Disney YouTube and podcast now. So that explains that. But Nick, how about you? When was the first time that you went to Disney World post high school?
Get out of here with your sappy shit like that. My experience was a little bit different from Kurt's. So the first time I went to Disney as an adult, I know none of you listening know who my mother is, but my mother is literally... So my mom has had a similar childhood to my own. She had a really rough childhood, which kind of had her... She didn't get to be a kid for very long. So my mother, when I started getting interested in Disney, was like, I would really like to go, like never went as a kid. So, okay, but my mom, this woman, 100% Polish. So no offense to any Polish people out there, but I grew up with a Polish mom my whole life, so I can speak on this. And you're not paying full price for anything, right? So I was about 20, maybe 19, I think. And I was like, Mom, we should go to Disney. Let's do it on a budget. So my mom's like, we're going under $500. I'm like, oh, Mom, I don't think that's possible. Like, tickets themselves are $500 in Disney. And she's like, I'm doing it. So no joke. This woman found a Hojo, which nowadays, Hojos aren't that bad. But 10 years ago, Hojos were literally like a step above by the hour motels. She found for $20 a night a Hojo literally $100 for almost the week, got us tickets, and I ended up going with her, and it actually ended up being a lot of fun, other than the Hojo totally being haunted, which can be a story for another day. It wasn't that bad, and it kind of reminded me of those good memories like Kurt talked about, to where, you know, I was like, I enjoy this. But for me, being in my early 20s, I didn't have a lot of money, so it meant 5-year gaps. I think the next time I went, I was 24 or 25. And then now, obviously, living down here, I'm going all the time. But I was lucky enough, my current fiance, we both, same thing as Kurt, we planned a trip. I think we had been dating for like 6 months, fell in love with it, and went maybe, God, 4 or 5 times a year for the last 2 years. Like, it was intense, heavy, flying from Wisconsin literally every other month to come down to Disney as annual pass holders out of state. And now we're here, and I go 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week. I also have a little bone to pick, because this whole Disney adults thing, I would just like to say that my ass was made fun of by our 4th excommunicated member of what Foreverland used to be. I used to get bullied about being a 25-year-old who loved to go to Disney by this person. And then this person connected Nicole and I together to start going to Disney. So, Nicole, I feel like this is the perfect lead-in for you of when you started going to Disney.
Oh, yes, Nick, it sure is.
I will not be bullied.
So the first time I went to Disney, I was 4. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I moved around in my chair, and that's going to be awful feedback. So the first time I went to Disney, I was 4. I was with my family. My brother shit on the magic carpets. It's fine. Everything is great. I don't remember any of that trip at all. So we've called it the mental health trip. I became friends with said 4th ex member.
Because this is magically unstable. And what kind of magically unstable group would this be without one of the group members having, you know, sometimes suicidal depression thoughts?
Right.
So go ahead, Nicole.
So your girl's been a poor ass bitch her whole adult life. And said 4th ex member and I planned this trip. We didn't know each other very well, but we planned this trip for Nick, and we invited Michael and everything. It was a nice surprise. And it was my first time going to Disney as an adult. We did Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, and I was like, holy shit. What the fuck? Because I didn't get the hype of Disney before going as an adult for the first time, and I think that's really important to experience as an adult, because you don't realize how much of the little kid in you is like, Disney magic. It hits everybody. But yeah, so then I got sucked into going probably once a month for the past 2 years of my adult life, being a poor ass bitch. So that's kind of Disney has been great though. Disney was great, but it was hard going like once a month for a long weekend, you know?
Yep.
That felt good.
It is tiring. Yeah, it's tiring though. So.
Yeah, Disney is not a vacation to relax. All right, guys. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's us. That's kind of in a nutshell who we are and our connection to each other and with Disney.
Okay, so next, typically, just to kind of give you like the setup of how our podcasts are going to go, typically we will not have a long intro at all. And our first section, I suppose, would be housekeeping. So we're going to move into housekeeping. What that means for Magically Unstable is us just letting you guys know the newest Disney news that we've come across for each respective part that we are responsible for. So let's go ahead and start. Kurt, what's your housekeeping for Disneyland?
Yeah,
Anything
so I
new?
have 2 things I want to touch base on really quick. The first one is not going to be that long. The first one is, we all know by now that Disneyland has canceled their annual pass program. They came out that they're calling their previous annual pass holders legacy annual pass holders. It literally means nothing else other than you still get your discounts right now. So that was strange. The big thing that I want to talk about is we are finally able to have food and drinks at Downtown Disney again. So as of right now, Disneyland is not open, but Downtown Disney is open. And as an extension of that, they opened up Buena Vista Street, like the main street of Disney California Adventure, for shopping and dining and a little bit of a Disney experience. So for the past almost 2 months, we haven't been able to eat or drink anything there because of California's stay-at-home order. You couldn't eat or drink anything like out in public. So that was lifted this past week. So we're finally able to like have churros again and eat ice cream, at the park, and take off our mask and have some water. So that's like the exciting Disneyland news that we have this week.
Nice.
Cool. Nicole.
Yeah, Disney Plus is in the process of removing a bunch of racist movies.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let me go to my notes and tell you. So they have started putting warnings on a bunch of older movies, and they've got Dumbo, Peter Pan, the originals, not the live actions, Aladdin, Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp, and the Aristocats. They have warnings in front of, and right now, as of 6 days ago, they've removed 3 of those movies from Disney Plus altogether. I didn't spot check it with Disney Plus, but I took it from a Disney website. They've removed Dumbo, Peter Pan, and the Aristocats. Mm-hmm. And they have removed all of the above movies from the kids' profiles. So the kids can't go in and see them, but they're still available to the adults. So that is my Disney Plus news. Nick, what you got for Disney World?
Wow, that's actually pretty big news. I mean, that's even for, for us. I mean, I could mention this. We don't have to keep this in if we don't want. But before I get into my news, we, just like posted a TikTok the other day with a song from Peter Pan. And it's like, without these reminders, sometimes, like I haven't seen Peter Pan since I was a little kid. And I knew that there was talk about it having racist elements to it. And I just like totally forgot. So I love that Disney is reminding us that their culture is changing. They're starting to take responsibility for racism that doesn't have a place in 2021. And I think that's pretty cool.
I did notice, without like researching a couple weeks ago, I watch Nick's niece every Monday, and she's 3 now, and we watch Disney movies all the time, and I try to introduce her to new ones because it's the same Frozen 2, Brave, and live action Aladdin on repeat every week. So I put on the original Aladdin movie for her, which she didn't want to watch, but I was like, whatever. And they did have the warning in front of it, so that caught me off guard, but that was also a couple weeks ago. So I think this is an in the process thing. They're going through every older Disney movie and reviewing it, to make sure none of them hit the Sound of the South level.
Yeah. I think that's important too. Like if you choose to still show your child, like specifically one, I know Kurt and I, we love Pocahontas, but I think that's important. Like if you're a parent and you want to show your kids these movies, it might be smart to have that talk with them of, this is not the real history. This is a romanticized story. So
well,
anyway,
and that's probably a good reason why they were moved off kids' profiles then too. So
it's harmful. Yeah, it's harmful for kids to see that. So, okay. So Walt Disney World, did I already pick a bone today? I feel like I already picked a bone, so I can't pick another bone.
No, pick another bone. Who cares? Pick another bone.
Okay, so if you guys follow anything with Walt Disney World, or I guess Disneyland, like what really pisses me off to like an extreme level is they don't organize releasing information. It's like they have all of this stuff that's in this limbo where nobody knows what's going on, and then they'll just be like, they'll open something or they'll just release something. So if you're a Disney person, you've probably seen that Remy Ratatouille Adventure is like the whole queue part, all of that, the opening, it's all open. The bathrooms over there are open, but the ride's not open. There's no opening date anywhere. They haven't said anything about it. Well, they released Remy Ratatouille Adventure merch this week. So in my brain, I don't know about you guys, but in my brain, I'm like, oh, okay, so the ride's going to open soon. You would think. But it's like they won't release a date with it. Like, you can release merch, but you can't release a date with the ride. Like, when is it opening? So, yeah, that's news, but it's also news that irritates me.
They're probably doing it to minimize crowds for like the opening day and all of that stuff.
Still annoying.
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah, but I think that's all for housekeeping for all of us. So, yeah, let's get into the next section, okay?
All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, so let's dive into our weekly YouTube video. So this week we came out with our very first ever ride POV video of my personal favorite ride in Magic Kingdom, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So Nick, I think it would be best if you kind of set us off on this one, because since you were the one that filmed it and rode the ride, and yeah, so just give us your experience and let's talk about The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
So this ride, it's a really cute ride. And for anyone who hates on dark rides, you're an asshole and you don't know what you're talking about. Like, if you go to Disney and you shit on dark rides, you're only there because you want to get your dick hard. You don't actually want to ride rides and appreciate Disney. So...
Okay, so Nicole's brother, when she was 4, when he shit on the Disney ride.
What about it?
No, he was 1. I was 4. He pooped his pants on the outdoor magic carpets.
Ugh.
Zach, I'm calling you out. You pooped your pants.
Yeah, anyway, it's okay if you don't like dark rides. It's completely fine. We have nothing against you, but I do judge you just like a little bit. So... Anyway, yeah, it's called The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and it debuted in Fantasyland inside of Walt Disney World in 1999. So it's been there for quite a while, actually, and it does kind of have an older feel, but I also feel like it completely works now with the theme of Fantasyland, and right across the way from it is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, so it's the same kind of era of Disney movies as well. So yeah, it's really cute. But the really cool thing about this ride, it actually occurs in 4 out of, there's 6 Disney parks in the world, right? Or is there 5? Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo, Paris. No, there's 6. Okay.
Disney Sea.
Yeah.
No, you got that.
Yeah, Tokyo. Well, it occurs in 4 out of the 6 of them. So there is a lot of comparison and changes from ride to ride. So it is in Disneyland, Walt Disney World, obviously, Hong Kong Disneyland, and Shanghai Disneyland. So I thought that was really cool. Like, to have one ride in 4 different parks means that it's a classic and it worked. That's what I have to say about the ride. So, Nicole, what is your fun fact of the day?
Okay, so I'm realizing more and more that it is not having to do with the ride, but it has to do with Winnie the Pooh himself, which just, like, is hilarious.
That works.
I know.
You can meet
to
Pooh
work.
Bear right there. So, yeah.
You can.
It's fine. We're all a Winnie the Pooh stan here.
It happened before the ride even happened, but like it is my favorite thing that has come of a court case.
Go for it.
Through Walt Disney World.
Do it.
Okay. So, in 1981, a 1978 incident between Winnie the Pooh and a little girl went to court. So it went to court 3 years after.
Oh, no.
Just wait. The little girl's parents claimed that the cast member who was in the Winnie the Pooh costume had slapped their kid.
Honestly, the kid probably deserved it. Have you met a
Yeah.
child?
Just wait.
Let's talk about that for a second.
The cast member argued that the little girl had been tugging on the costume, and in the course of turning around, he accidentally knocked her over. It gets better. He showed up to court in the costume. He showed up in the costume because he wanted to convince the jury that the arms on the costume wouldn't have allowed him to slap the child.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
My God.
Okay. First of all, That motherfucker did that on purpose. He went, bap, and I'll do it again. And he showed up in court to literally terrorize that child.
I can't slap the child in this costume.
Oh, wait. He showed up to terrorize that child.
Oh,
to really add trauma.
Absolutely.
He showed up and was like, "You remember me? You remember me?"
Right.
Okay, but have you seen the old Winnie the Pooh costumes? They are not the same as
It's
the new ones.
terrifying.
Yes.
It's mostly a head.
Yeah.
There is, I could guarantee that there's probably no way that person could slap a child.
You're welcome for that court case.
I'm sure
I've
I
got
would find a way.
my dark
but
Disney sites.
that was
I
great.
know.
Well,
Wow, I like
yeah,
that a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
See, that's
with,
where I was
with
like,
Winnie
it was
the Pooh
worth
on
it.
that one. So yeah,
It was worth
Can
it to
you
not have
imagine
something
being
else
on
right.
that jury? Can you imagine being on that jury and just going home and be like, "Oh, honey, how is the case? Oh, I can't talk about it, but Winnie the Pooh was there." Like, what?
Right.
He showed me that he couldn't slap a child in uniform.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
Jesus.
that's good.
You're welcome.
That's real good.
Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the ride, Kurt.
Can I talk about Disneyland's Winnie the
I
Pooh?
guess so.
Absolutely.
Because that Winnie the Pooh ride is superior to all
It is.
Winnie the Pooh rides in the world.
Okay, well, we
I don't
haven't
know.
been to China yet, so we can't make that decision.
That's okay. That's fair. In America,
Yeah, that's fair. That's also
between
fair.
the two, it's the best. So, and don't you know what? If you haven't been to Disneyland and you haven't been on the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, don't come at me saying that it's better at Walt Disney World because it's Walt Disney World and everything is better. I think that's a garbage excuse.
It's better because it's at
And
Walt Disney
the-
World. I've never been to Disneyland.
It's horrible.
Mhm.
So the one thing that is cool about Walt Disney World is in like the first room when you go through Owl's house, you can see a picture of Mr. Toad handing Owl the deed to the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it took over Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Which that is a wild ride.
Oh man, it's so good.
Anyway.
Disneyland still has
It's so
Mr. Toad's
good.
Wild Ride, and
It's so fucked
you know
up.
what? Honestly, any dark ride that you have to exit through hell is a ride that I want to go on.
Yes.
So,
So good.
so the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is situated in Critter Country. So it's right between, it's right by Splash Mountain. It's right between, I guess, Galaxy's Edge now and New Orleans Square. Kind of like it kind of butts up right against Splash Mountain and Haunted Mansion area. So it replaced the Country Bear Jamboree. So they took down that whole theater, that whole show, and put in the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh because it was such a success at Walt Disney World, and nobody was really going to the Country Bear Jamboree anyways. So they put it back there because Winnie the Pooh had a meet and greet back there, so it just kind of fit better there rather than in Fantasyland. Also, Fantasyland is very small in Disneyland, and there's probably nowhere to even conceive of putting that ride anywhere else. There are what the fuck are they called? Busts? They're not busts. It's like the head mounts of the animals, like when an animal's head is mounted onto a plaque.
A head mount?
It's like that. Yeah, sure.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
A dead animal?
So they have, yeah, but they have 3 of them from the animatronics from Country Bear Jamboree. So that's like a fun little hidden thing. So
Mm.
after you go through the Heffalump and Woozle scene, if you look like up and behind you on like a wall that separates the Heffalump and Woozle scene from the next show scene, you can see the 3 head mounts of 3 of the characters from the Country Bear Jamboree. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. But overall, I think because it's newer, it opened in 2003 at Disneyland. And I'm pretty sure it hasn't really been refurbished at Walt Disney World. I know that the line queue was. I don't know about the ride. But I know that because it opened in 2003, it has a lot better use of technology at Disneyland. So I think that just overall, it's a lot better ride at Disneyland.
Yeah, I agree. I also love, if for those listeners who haven't been to Disneyland, Nicole, a lot of rides at Disneyland board or get off outside, like completely outside. And Winnie the Pooh is one of them. And I just think that's like, you don't think of riding a ride and being like outdoors. Like, I don't know, my brain just didn't compute it. And when I saw it for the first time, we rode Winnie the Pooh, I think right away. I was like, this is so cool. Like, you get in your honeypot outside and you get off of your honeypot outside. And I just thought that was really, really cool. I also think, Kurt, correct me if I'm wrong, the honeypots only fit 2 people, right? Or is it 2 rows? Because Disney World, it's 2 rows.
I think Disneyland is 3 rows because
Okay.
you ride a beehive instead.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's just like super
You
cute.
ride in a little beehive, and I think maybe there is 2. You know what? I haven't been there in a year, so I don't really remember.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's one of the great things about Disneyland is that because we don't have to use a lot of coverage because it doesn't rain that often.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to worry about tropical depressions and hurricanes every single day.
Literally.
We do make use of a lot of outdoor space so that because there's not a lot of room at Disneyland. It's really small. Compared to Disney World, but it's nice that they're able to use show like buildings are able to be pushed back and the queues can be outside, so it makes it feel a lot larger than it actually is, which I never even realized that until you pointed that out.
It's mind-blowing. Okay, so those are what?
Ow.
I almost
Ow,
just
ow.
said. I literally was just like, ow, ow, ow.
Pudgy, can I get an
you give me
ow?
I sound like him.
Ow.
Okay, so I know we haven't really gone into the unstable part of our Magically Unstable, but we're getting there. So this next part, if we ever cover a POV that we do, or if we're talking about a ride, I would like to throw in an anxiety rating. So the 3 of us all have like some form of anxiety, but the best part is that we all have a different, like it manifests in a different way. So we all struggle in the park a different way. And for some of us, I think all of us, there are certain rides that kind of trigger that. So anytime we bring up a ride on this podcast, I would like to just throw out an anxiety rating and then a reason, because some people, when it's your first time going to the park, if you're really worried about rides, some people just want to know like a straight shooter shot. I don't know, just the truth about rides and different parts of anxiety that it could trigger. So for the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, I'll start with my rating and then we can go to you guys. I would rate it not a 0, shockingly. You would think it's a very gentle dark ride. You're literally going through pages of old Winnie the Pooh books. It's very sweet. But I would give it a 2 just because there is a part where if you are afraid of circus-like themes, which some people are, there is a part where there is these it's the Heffalump and Woozles part. But it is sort of like, could be construed as creepy, and the coloring that they use on it could induce some anxiety. It is a lot of colors to look neon under a black light, very circusy. So I would give it a 2, personally for me, just for that reason. I don't know about you guys. Nicole, you've only been on the Walt Disney World one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, it's not too bad. I get overstimulated a lot in that ride where it turns to the neon, and specifically the part where you're in the honey pot and you whip around. Well, okay, you don't whip around, but like you like turn and like
it's like a gentle turn.
Right. Whip around. And you're in the neon, and then you're in a mirror, and it's like,
yes,
what the fuck is going on? Even though I've been on that ride multiple times, I'm still like,
Yep.
So I would probably, I don't know, I'll give it a 2. It's not like, it doesn't trigger my fight or flight.
Yep.
So
I would, you know what, I'm going to give each park a separate one, because I feel like Disneyland, for me, is a 0 out of 10. Like, line queue is outside, fine. You're walking through everything, fine. There's space. The ride, super gentle. I could sit on that ride all day. And you know what? I have ridden that ride 5 times in a row on the last day of Disneyland before it closed for coronavirus. Nobody was there. They just let me keep going. It was real nice. I probably got coronavirus from it, but you know what? At least I got it at Winnie the Pooh. Walt Disney World, however, the ride, 0 out of 10. The line queue, 1,000,000 out of 10.
Yes.
The fact
that's
that
fair.
you have a children's play area
Yes.
and there are children running around, and my worst nightmare is children. So the fact that
Fair.
I have to walk through a line queue full of screaming children to get on the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, not worth
Not
it.
unless you have a
Not worth
fast
it to me.
pass.
Yeah, but they don't
That's
have
fair.
a fast pass for that ride.
At Disney World, they do.
They
Don't
do.
they?
Do
Yeah.
they?
They do. Yeah.
Oh, they do.
Mhm.
Wow.
So you just skip
But-
so
shitheads
going-
anyways.
No, Nicole, with the fast pass, you still have to go through the part where the interactive honey wall is. where
You're
it's
right.
that
Oh
You're
my
right.
god,
Where
most
you get
disgusting wall.
the COVID wall.
It literally looks like, so it's supposed to look yellow, but because of the graphics, it looks green. It
Mhm.
literally
It
looks
looks
like
like
a
snot.
wall of vomit or snot. And these little kids, they have to like push away the honey to like uncover fucking gems or something. And it's like the kids like will fucking stay there all day and do it. And you're a bad person if you look annoyed because, you know, little fucking Johnny's trying to spread the honey and grandma wants to get a picture. It's like, move the fuck on. So, Kurt, yeah, totally forgot. Line
Yeah.
queue can be a little rough.
Yeah, that's where that
I
ride
guess
gets me,
that's
is the line
not so
queue.
much
'Cause, like,
anxiety inducing for me. It's more like I hit a level of like, flip these kids.
yeah, because that's why I think, like, I mean, like I said, Nick, I didn't really even think about the line queues until you just mentioned it, like,
Mm-hmm.
in this podcast. But the line queue for the Disneyland one, it's all outside,
Yeah.
and there's open fresh air, and like there's really nothing to be insane. And what I really love though is that because it's outside, they have like Eeyore's house in like the grass in part of
Yep.
the line queue, and they have Rabbit's like garden, and it's all like fixtures that you can't touch, and it's really cute. So another reason why Disneyland is better.
Yes. Now, don't worry. Kurt's not always a Walt Disney World hater, but I completely side with him for most of these ride comparisons, even as a person who's in Walt Disney World, like all the time. There are
Yeah.
rides that Disneyland nails, and The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Grape. Okay.
Grape.
So, overall, if you have anxiety, you most likely will survive Winnie the Pooh unscathed without having an anxiety attack. From what it sounds like, if you can get through the queue and you don't mind kids. So, anyway, I think we're going to go to my personal favorite session because we're going to head on to therapy. So, Nicole is going to take over therapy session where, this is just our session where we're all just going to rant about a topic because we all know there are things about Disney that you just really like. You need to scream about sometimes. You need to yell, get angry. And that's what our therapy session is. So, Nicole, if you want to introduce this week's topic, that would be great.
Yeah, of course.
Hot takes coming at you.
Yeah, of
Hot
course.
take.
Yeah, of course. Of course I do. I wanted to start it off. I wanted to start this shit show therapy session off with the ride that affected my life for the past 2 years. Mission Space, Orange Side.
Don't feel that bad for her.
Yeah, let me get into it. I mean, like, feel a little bad, but, like, I did it to myself. And I did it to Nick,
Nope.
too, but Nick didn't get affected, so. Anyways.
I mean, this is your therapy session. Take it
Yeah,
away.
it is my therapy session, so I'm gonna do it. Okay. So if you're unfamiliar with Mission Space, as I've only ridden it once, and I think it's the one ride that off the record I would hypothetically set on fire in Disney World. Not gonna do that. Don't even take that into account. But
She will. She
Bet.
might.
no, so they have,
The FBI agents listening in on our phone takes it into account.
you know what?
Hey, Jerry, how you doing?
Hope you're having a good night, Paul.
Just listen to me, Christine. Hear me out. You've been with me for 2 years. Anyways,
2, bitch.
2 years with this fucking situation. So anyways,
Fair.
the Mission Space in Epcot in Walt Disney World has 2 different, what would you even call them? Sides?
They're versions of the same ride.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So the green side is like, ride it, go for it. Nothing bad is really going to happen to you unless you suffer from claustrophobia because yikes. So the green side is an Earth orbit and you don't experience any of the G-force of like going into space. So you're basically in the green side because I rode the green side first and I was like, I can handle the orange side. It's fine. Nothing happened to me. Got a little claustrophobic, but it's fine. So they put you into this capsule that seats 4 people and you each have a job. So like I was the navigator and I was like, I'm a geography major. So I'm the navigator, right? And I'm closed in. You're locked into these seats. You get the screen in front of you and I'm pretty sure you get something above you and then you get buttons that you have to push. And it is, I was doing a little bit of research on Mission Space. And it is the first ride that has made accessible puke bags. Like the easiest to grab. For good reason. So you do an Earth orbit with no G-force. So like you take off from Earth and you orbit the Earth and you come back to it. And you're pushing all these buttons. It's great. It's fun. Not really. But you're in this tiny, tiny capsule. So like if you suffer from claustrophobia, don't even think, don't. So we land, we get off. It's fine. It's whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I have a hair up my ass. I want to go on the orange side. I'm a thrill seeker. I want to do it. Why wouldn't I want to do it? And Nick had, in the group that we went with, we went in January. It was January of 2018, 2019. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
One of those
irrelevant.
Years. Yeah.
So Nick had been the only one in the group of 4 of us that had ridden it. And she was like, dude, you don't want to ride it. And I was like, you know what? That makes me want to ride it even harder. So I was like, I want to do it. And I was trying to convince 4th X group member to go with me. And he was like, no. And so Nick was like, whatever, it's fine. I'll go with. And so we're in line and you get into the orange line and there is this big warning where it's like, don't ride if you suffer from, pulls out a scroll. And like I was like every option on the list. I was like, check, whatever, I'm still gonna ride it. And it was literally a warning on the floor. They handed you a warning card to read in line. They have warnings like every 6 steps. They make an announcement. Like if you want to back out of this ride, do it. Like we're not making you get on this, because what the orange side is they take you to Mars. So like it's an extended version of the green side, but they incorporate G-force into the ride. So like you're spinning and you're supposed to feel like you're actually like taking off and like in space. And while I was doing some research on it, they said that astronauts rode it and they were like, it's pretty damn close to what you feel like in space. So we take off and I'm like immediately like, I know something is wrong. And I'm like, oh no. I don't know if I should watch the screen. I don't know if I should like grab the puke bag. I don't know what is going on at this point. I just want it to end. And I'm like, this is a bad choice. So we land and like, I'm feeling fine. Everything is like, all right. And we continue the day. And then we had the day in Hollywood Studios the next day. And specifically, like, I won't ever forget this trip because it was like the worst. So I thought I had food poisoning the next day. And, like I ate a Jack Jack cookie nom nom for breakfast. And I was like, there's no way. I got food poisoning from Jack Jack's cookie nom nom. We're flying out that day. Oh my God, it was the worst. Also, fuck the Midwest for this very reason too. So we're flying back. our flight is stalled and I'm still feeling nauseous because like I think I have food poisoning. And so we're waiting in the airport. I eat some Pringles and I'm like, you know what? It's fine, whatever. I'm just going to sleep on the plane. And so we're on the flight and I'm feeling like I'm going to throw up like the entire flight. And that has never happened to me. I still have the Southwest puke bag. No, it's probably Frontier. I still probably have.
Was it? No, it was Southwest. It was Southwest.
Okay,
whatever. Because there was someone sitting in between you and.
No, there was somebody sitting on the outside.
There was someone in your row.
I was
yes,
in the
there was
window
someone
seat,
in your row.
and it was a red-eye flight, so we were not landing until like midnight or 1 a.m. in Midway, Chicago Midway. Okay, of all places,
right? Literally in the cold. I think it was snowstorming.
No. It was that deep freeze. So it was literally negative 35 in Wisconsin when we landed. And we land and I'm like, I'm going to throw up. Like puke bag ready. And I'm like the ex fourth group member sitting next to me, sleeping. The guy in the middle row, sleeping. So I was like, I'm gonna be polite and I'm not gonna launch over the two of them to book it to one of the bathrooms. I'm just gonna throw up next to them. But I also have a fear of throwing up, so it was just this internal battle for like 2 hours. But it gets better. Oh, go ahead.
No, like I don't know what's happening, and I hear someone like laughing, and I'm pretty sure it was this trip where I turn around and you're just crying.
Nope, that was the flight there.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
That kicked
Never
off
mind.
The trip because I was having a
mind.
claustrophobia attack on the way there. Okay, so that should have already set the tone for the trip. So I'm manically, okay, we're stepping aside from that just to explain it so it's not up in the air because I'd want to hear it. I'm in the middle seat, I think, and I just start manically crying. And then, like, I don't know why I'm crying, and I don't like crying in public. So then I start laughing because I'm like, I got to deter this somehow. And this
that was
also,
the thing with someone else in the middle row. I'm positive they were in the middle, in between.
Sitting next to me in the aisle seat, and ex-fourth group member was sitting in the window seat, okay? And so he's looking at me because he's like, what the fuck is wrong with her? And I was just like, having an anxiety attack, claustrophobia attack, and he's Snapchatting pictures of me to Nick or airdropping whatever, and she like leans in between the seats and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And so the dude, whoever random guy was sitting next to me was just like, what is happening?
And no one would say what was happening. And
I didn't
Nicole
even know
is
what was
laughing but crying
I'm
at
sobbing,
the same time.
like tears streaking my face.
Other male member is just laughing and no one will tell me what's happening. And I'm like, okay. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway. So we land.
Fast forward when we land.
We land, right? Okay, we land and I'm still feeling like I have food poisoning. I'm still like, I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I know I'm getting off the plane soon. Like, I either need to go like shit my pants or like throw up in Midway. I just need to like get off the plane. That is like on my radar. Get off the plane, get off the plane, get off the plane. We are taxiing to our fucking runway and it's frozen. They can't get it unthawed. So they were like, well, we're going to be stuck on the plane until we can find a runway that we can taxi to that's not frozen shut. Like we can't get access to this one. But for the meantime, like everybody has to remain in their seats, buckled in, like we're still moving. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm physically going to implode. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then,
Wait, you guys are still up in the air?
No, we're on the ground.
We had landed. Point. Yeah.
We're on the ground.
We were just waiting to dock.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah. So fast forward and I'm like, this isn't food poisoning. This is weird. I have this for now 2 months and I can't fly anymore at this point without completely drugging myself to sleep. And I had to wear C-bands all the time, which were like, did they work or was it in my head? And so it was miserable. And we were going on a cruise because Nick and I were graduating. And I was like, I don't know what is wrong with me. And I don't want to feel this way because it was anytime I was like in motion with something. So it was flying. It was in the car. It was like, if I were to ever get on a bicycle again, it was riding a bike. It was Just
Right.
everything. It was a little bit of everything, and it sucked. And yeah, so I went to the doctor, and I'm telling her like what is happening with me, because I also have a fear of doctors. And she's like, it sounds like you have vertigo. And I was like, how in the fuck did I get vertigo? I was like, isn't vertigo supposed to be like you're dizzy all the time, like you can't do anything because you're dizzy? And she goes, there's two forms of it. There's nausea and there's dizziness. She's like, you were blessed with dizziness. And I was like, perfect. She's like, do you have any, like, did you do anything that? And I was like, well, it could have been Mission Space at Epcot. And she was like, same thing happened to me about 20 years ago. Here's some prescription medication. And I'm just now, 2 years later, almost to the day, like, getting over it. So don't ride Orange Side. That is moral of the story.
Okay, so I'm going to come in hot here as your therapist. Not really. I'm not qualified to make any judgment.
You're qualified enough for me. You're qualified enough for me.
But this bitch, I told her that trip with my mom and the haunted Hojo. We went on Mission Space, and we're seeing all these warnings, and we're like, oh, we can do it. We'll be fine. We get on there, and a cast member tells us, no matter what you do, don't close your eyes. It makes it 10 times worse.
That's absolutely what I did. I closed my eyes.
Right. But then it makes it scarier, because if you start getting scared in the ride, you know you cannot close your eyes and you have to look forward, and it makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah, I think I was just trying to like jelly it. I was just kind of like trying to go with the flow, and it was like, storm.
Right. No, it's bad. And like I don't think any of us have problems with thrill rides, but it was bad to the point where my mom is dramatic. But like she was screaming at the top of her lungs for it to stop, and we both like tears just rolling down our faces. It was so bad, and I'm telling them, I'm like, guys, please don't make me do this. You guys don't want to do it. Group member pussied out. Nicole's like, let's do it. And I was like, fine, let's do it. Maybe I can handle it better as an adult, as a middle-aged 20-year-old adult. No, seriously. When we say if you have any sort of anything other than
even
being
if you
like,
think you have any sort of anything,
right?
Don't do it
unless you're literally like early 20s white frat boy. Like, it's not worth it. You're gonna be mad at yourself that you did it, because it's not fun. They need to demolish this ride.
So I'm gonna come in on the opposite spectrum, because I love this ride.
Shut up.
Kurt,
well, you're
get the
close
fuck
enough to
outta
a
here.
20-year-old frat boy. You're close enough.
It's okay. I don't love it. I could take it or leave it, but I also don't have an issue with it. It kind of gives
makes me nauseous thinking
those
about
like
it.
It kind of gives me those like nerves, I guess,
Sure.
of like right before you walk into a haunted house. Like, I know that it's gonna like make me like feel a little bit fucked up, but I'm doing it because it's gonna make me a little bit fucked up. It's like that whole like haunted house thing. Like, I'm gonna go to get scared because like I enjoy the feeling of being scared sometimes.
Noted.
Like, why I love scary movies or things like that. So I think that that's why I like it. I also like have always wanted to be like a meteorologist, astronaut, like all of that since I was a little kid. So I think like the whole thing about going into space and doing all that is like something that has always been super intriguing to me. So maybe I'm just like a rarity in that way.
It was really cool to see space, but like, fuck that shit.
No, you don't need anything farther than that fucked up ride at Six Flags. Nicole, you probably weren't born yet, but Kurt, you probably remember this ride. Do you remember the spaceship like theater where it was a giant theater that the whole thing moved, and it was
yes.
like,
oh my God, I loved that
fun.
ride.
I loved that.
Oh, that was such a good ride. I totally forgot about it.
Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. They had this amazing ride where it was a giant moving. It's kind of like Star Tours. It was like Star Tours, but it was a
Very
giant,
similar.
a giant theater, and the seats and the floor moved, and it was like you were getting launched into space. Now that was fun.
See, I would probably do that, but like it was a combination of being like, you're literally like strapped to a wall, and
it's a very
screen
small
comes
space.
like right in front of you.
Right, yeah.
And then you're like pushing
it's
buttons,
rough.
and then you're fucking holding on for dear life, but you're not moving anything.
So, okay, so I just Googled that ride from Six Flags. So I know this is a Disney podcast, but I kind of want to talk about that now. So it was
therapy
called
now.
Six Flags Great America Space Shuttle, and
Yes.
it closed in 2007.
Oh my
but
God,
it
really?
was literally like the theater, the ride itself was a NASA space shuttle.
Yes.
Like the entire
That's pretty
thing
cool.
that you saw that you walked into was a replica of an actual space shuttle.
Yeah.
And oh wow, I totally forgot about that ride. That was
Such a
so
good
cool.
ride. Such a good ride.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and it was just
So
it was the right amount of like amazement for that age I felt like we were at too. Like, I don't know. It was cool. It was really cool.
yeah. So like I said, I don't love it. I could take it or leave it, but it doesn't fuck me up.
That's good. I'm glad someone can handle it.
I think I got fucked for all of us. It was
I just-
definitely it was a learned lesson. Don't do it again, and I won't.
Yeah. I'm honestly shocked that it's still a running ride because it's not popular. It doesn't matter when you go to Disney.
No.
At most, there's a 15-minute wait for it. It's not popular. Like, and I'm pretty sure cast members probably get sick of cleaning up vomit. Like, the ride has to stop all the time because someone vomits in there. Like, it's not a good.
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I was watching a documentary about, I don't know if it was specifically Spaceship Earth sorry, not Spaceship Earth, Mission Space. Or maybe it was just about Epcot. I don't remember anymore. But I was watching something about Spaceship Earth. Oh my God, Mission Space. And they were saying that like they actually partnered with NASA to create that ride.
That doesn't surprise me.
And
It is a
yeah,
cool
and like a lot of the
concept.
mechanisms came from NASA.
You know what it reminds me of? Nicole, you won't remember this.
No.
But Nickelodeon game shows, you remember in between that when the kids would win a trip to go to space camp and they'd always show
Yes.
the video of the kid in like the yes.
In the spinny thing?
That's
yeah.
literally what it is. It's a ride version of that spinny thing, and it brings me back to my childhood remembering that. But yeah, fuck you, Mission Space. So that wraps up our therapy session.
Good therapy session. Good first
Good.
therapy
Yay,
session.
Nicole, you did it.
I
I'm
did
glad
it.
you got that out.
Yeah, you feel better now?
A little bit.
Good. Well, the ride
I'm
still
a little
exists,
nauseous,
so
but like it's fine.
in the end, yeah, it wins. Okay, so we are in our last part of the podcast where, today wasn't too bad with the heavy stuff. I have a feeling some of these podcasts may get a little bit more like heavy with mental health topics, but we always kind of want to end on a positive note. For anyone else out there like us, or even if you're not like us, some people without anxiety do experience anxiety. Like, you may not think you have anxiety, but when you think about maybe your trips to Walt Disney World, maybe you've had a similar situation to us. We just want to end on like a positive note of most of the time we're fucked up and can't handle anything, but we do sometimes have pretty good situations to help us cope in the parks. And this was a really hard one for me to pick. What would be the most fitting for how do we cope? Telling you guys how we cope. The very first thing. And honestly, I'm still a little torn on what I want to talk about. But I think a good fitting theme to go with is at every Disney park, in not pandemic time, we've all been to fireworks shows. So in Magic Kingdom, Happily Ever After, you've got your Star Wars show in Hollywood Studios, soon Harmonious Epcot. Kurt, you don't have fireworks in Disneyland, but there's still, I don't know.
Because we're closed.
But you don't ever have fireworks, right?
No, we do. They just get canceled a lot because there's a lot of high wind and fire warnings.
Okay, yeah. Well, perfect. There's still
Because your whole state's on fire.
Right.
Literally.
There's still World of Color. It's more so about there's two elements to any nighttime show. There's if you have fireworks, and then there's the crowd aspect. Which if you have been to Walt Disney World for Happily Ever After, it's probably the most people in the smallest space at a time. So I'll go ahead and let's Kurt give us a coping mechanism for attending a nighttime show to help with your anxiety.
I think okay, so one of my anxiety triggers is crowds. Not a fan of crowds. I absolutely hate them. And you know what? I honestly looking back, probably really stemmed from Warp Tour and
getting our
going
asses
to
kicked.
Warp Tour a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, you know what? It probably just traumatized me without me knowing it. But so one of my anxiety triggers is crowds. And where are there a lot of crowds? Nighttime shows.
Yep.
So one of the things that I really find that helps me get through that is getting there before the crowds fill in behind me. So I like to get there. I don't like to be right in the front because then I feel stuck. I like to be kind of in the middle. So if you kind of imagine Walt Disney World, it's kind of like you have the path to Tomorrowland on your right, you have the partner statue and the path to Adventureland on the left, and you're kind of in like the middle of that hub area on either like street. So I like to kind of be there so I can have multiple lanes of exit if I need to. But I like to get there like maybe like an hour before, and I'll usually grab a turkey leg or just some kind of snack or treat or something, and I'll get there and I'll sit down, and there will be people in front, but not a lot of people will be like piled up behind me yet. And I'll just sit there and I'll eat and I'll enjoy my food, and by the time I'm done, I get to hang out a little bit, and whoever I'm with, we can chat, and then the fireworks will start. So I like to do that and kind of like claim my space and just focus on what's in front of me, because if I look behind me and see the massive sea of people, that's when I get triggered, and that's when I'm like, oh, okay, gotta get out. But then, you know what, if that happens, I have my multiple lanes of exit. So that's why I like to situate myself like kind of in the middle on either side of the partner statue. But like I can either go to Tomorrowland, or I can like go around that like park thing and like get around the crowd like that way. So that's what I do. That's how I cope.
Nice. Nicole, you have any advice for how to cope with a nighttime spectacular?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple different situations. Because like at Hollywood Studios, they've got Fantasmic, and then Animal Kingdom, they have Rivers of Light. I don't know if it's still actually going on, but
It's not.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But they have the seating. So what I find is that if you sit, I like to find the end of the row. So I know like they tell you to file in as far as you can, and sometimes that's just not feasible. But like what Kurt was saying is that you can like block off your space. So showing up to the shows early is awesome. And like shows like Fantasmic, you can get fast passes to get into the seating area early. But for Happily Ever After, I mean, I do the same thing. I show up like an hour and a half early, claim my space. I like to be towards the front because I am somebody who I have the patience to get out of the park, like, so I don't feel the need to be swarmed or swarm. So yeah, I just kind of like hang around. I don't shove through people unless I'm forced to in a group. All my previous Disney trips with, yep. But yeah, one thing...
You guys, you can probably tell how mentally unstable we are about our fourth excommunicated member.
Yeah.
I like the mysteriousness of it, though. I feel like it gives us... Yeah, I like it.
It's a little...
They will always remain mysterious.
Yep. But yeah, no, and one of the big things, I mean, it's cost effective, but when we did the dessert party, the Happily Ever After dessert party... That was one of the most enjoyable. I mean, it was cold, but it was one of the most enjoyable fireworks experiences because you do the dessert party. It was pretty pricey, but then you get to watch the show from like a grass gated area where you don't have anybody around you. But yeah, that was I would suggest if the dessert party is in your price range, like that's probably the way to go. Just take your time leaving, because there's going to be crowds wherever you go.
I want to throw a little anecdote in there. Fantasmic dessert party in Walt Disney World, not worth it at all.
I've never done the Fantasmic dessert party.
Me either. Yeah, me either.
It's awful. The dessert's not good. You get like a little box, and then you get to carry it to your seat. And they weren't great at all. And the seating was just still seating that you could get with a fast pass.
Heard.
I don't want to talk about no dessert party without no motherfucking Mickey bars.
Yeah.
We went to one where we were promised unlimited Mickey bars, and they didn't even have one.
That's the only reason we went, is because they had unlimited Mickey bars, and we're Mickey bar fiends, and there was not one. They had the Mickey ice cream sandwiches, which are not the same.
They're not. Anyway, fuck you, Pirate Pals. Fuck you. Okay, so I don't want to go into the same. Nicole kind of covered a big one. Obviously, like, claiming your space is really important. For me, I find an edge, whether it be like edge of a gate, edge of a fence, edge of a curb, just because it gives you one out of your four sides clear from human. So that's really nice. But that also comes into play with my next point is the mass exodus. I can't handle that in any situation where a crowd is moving and it's like a river and you feel like you can't stop and you're stuck with, as Michael likes to say, nut to butt people. And
oh my God,
he says it all the time. But it's true. That's literally how it gets. And when I have an edge, when that river starts to flow and people are expecting you to move, I will grab it and I will sit there. If it's at Fantasmic is literally, I think, the worst for me with when everybody leaves. If people start looking at you funny, I will literally put my head in my lap and wait until people leave around me. I don't care if it makes people think I'm sick or upset. At Happily Ever After, sometimes I'll grab like the side of a gate and I'll crouch and I'll grab the gate and I'll just crouch and wait for everyone to leave around me. Because once I get swept away in those people, like, I will start acting like a literal rat trying to like fly through the crowd to get through everyone to get out of it. So edges are my friend. And my second thing is, it's funny. I love fireworks shows, but fireworks absolutely terrify me. I cry almost any time a loud firework goes off. It just triggers, like Nicole said earlier, like a fight or flight for me. It's really, I don't know why. Like, nothing ever happened to me with a loud noise, but ever since I was a little kid, I've never been able to handle fireworks, but I love watching them. So my suggestion, if you are able or have a pair of noise canceling headphones, you can wear those. But I like a more conspicuous get up, and I will literally take like a little wad of toilet paper and shove it in my 2 ears. Sometimes, or I will literally cover my ears like a 4-year-old when I know like loud fireworks are coming. But earplugs work. I mean, I'm poor and a little ratchet, so, you know, a little wad of toilet paper will do it for me right in the ears. Just protect your ears and protect yourself from having... Fireworks have literally caused me to go straight into a really bad anxiety attack. So I just... I also am kind of weird, and I'll watch fireworks shows on like YouTube beforehand to see where the loud fireworks are and then know when to cover my ears. So yeah, that is some coping mechanisms for anxiety you might have in the parks.
Nice. That was great.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive deeper into our experiences and our mental illnesses that kind of, I guess, inhibit and enhance our Disney experience, and kind of let people know that they're not alone, or let people have a little bit of awareness to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our first episode of Magically Unstable.
Yay! First one's in the books, you guys. All
Yay!
right.
So make sure you guys tune in next week. Subscribe to us here on Spotify or wherever you're listening. And you can always catch our latest episodes on our YouTube channel, Foreverland Fairy Tales.
Yay. Thank you so much for listening.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week. And talk to you next
Bye.
week.